Someone said, why am I going to pay $500 for a picture of a hobo?
I always thought Kyle Beckerman was a good player.
Fire sticking their foot in it.
They said they were going to cut my food rations.
Cork soaking.
There is no possible way to articulate the malaise, the lack of ambition, the way it's felt for so long to be a fan better than he did. Welcome back, everyone, to the Enemies of the Fire podcast. And on this week's episode, we're going to go through the U.S.'s Copa America preliminary roster. We're going to talk all things Reynoso, raccoons, and ridiculousness. And then we're going to round it out. Instead of talking about a terrible soccer game in which the Chicago Fire lost, if not, and not only just one, two, we would have to talk about two losses. We're just going to go ahead and we're going to do a tier list to find the top 10 coaches in Chicago Fire club history. Gentlemen, this is James. This is DPG. I am FC Neo Tokyo. What is up? What's going on? Is everybody excited? There's nothing to complain about with this roster, right?
We're not
James?
talking about the Chicago Fire, right?
No. We're talking about the U.S.
We're talking about the U.S. training camp roster, of course. USMNT national team being called into Washington, D.C. If we take a little bit deeper look here, goalkeepers, Ethan Horvath, Sean Johnson, Matt Turner are going to be rounding out the goalkeeper group. I mean, that seems like a strong group.
You know, it does. I mean, two things jump out at me is Zach Steffen still being kept out, which is fine, in my opinion, because he's still playing poorly. And Sean Johnson, I really thought he was going to be, like, right now, like, the number one. He was going to be like Tim Howard. I really did.
Really?
But, yeah, I really thought when he was drafted by the Fire in the first couple seasons, I was like, I can't wait until World Cup 2026 and 2022. Sean Johnson's going to be the starting men's national team keeper. It's going to be great. But, alas.
I mean,
I
if
don't
there's
know.
injured...
How do you guys... I mean, who's the only other person we could throw in here, right? Calendar?
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, Horvath seems to just like play well whenever called upon. Sean Johnson's competent, and Matt Turner, I'm a little nervous about. I don't know. This used to be our lockdown number one position, like ever, for years, for decades.
I want to see Chris Brady get a shot.
I mean, well, the Olympics is happening at the same time, too. I think that's why there's a notable absence in the defenders. So, yeah, for real. I think Brady's going to get a shot at the Olympics. Oh, no. Wait, didn't they...
You mean age out?
No, they didn't put him or Guti on the preliminary roster, did they? So he can't go to the Olympics.
No.
I don't know. I'm a little confused by that.
Might be a reserve.
Either way, I don't know, man. I'm worried about Turner. I don't know how you guys feel. This was not a good year for him.
I mean, we got Ethan Horvath, so. And in worst case scenario, hey, you got the milkman. He's gonna show up all the two other guys.
Honestly, like
Ethan Horvath.
You got enough quality here that they'll be okay. Yeah, nobody here is world beating, but on their day, Matt Turner's put in a world-beating day. Ethan Horvath has put in a world-beating day. Sean Johnson's put in a world-beating day in MLS level.
You are correct. You are not wrong.
On their day, these guys could shut down anybody. So I mean, like, they're as good as anybody in the world. They might not be the best, but that is certainly a quality set of goalkeepers.
When you put it that way, I'm not mad about it, but it is a far cry from Tim Howard, Brad Friedel, and Casey Keller.
Far cry, which those guys had a dominance about them. They were desired by some of the bigger clubs. I mean, to the point where Manchester United was... Tim Howard was there for a minute. But defenders... let's move over to the defenders. Cameron Carter-Vickers, Christopher Lund Hansen, so hot right now, Mark McKenzie, Shaq Moore, Tim Ream, Chris Richards. That's the Canadian way of saying it, Chris Richards, Anthony Jedi Robinson, Miles Robinson, and Joe Scally. Scallywag.
How did you get Anthony right, but not Scally?
It's fishing.
Scally.
Gentlemen, what's the temperature? How do you guys feel about this?
We got a decent back line.
I feel better about the back line than I do about the. This has been like the case though for U.S. teams lately, and over the past. If we look back over the past 8 to 12 years, what do we always feel good about? When we look at the back line, we're like, well, at least there's guys in the back line we trust. Like I feel like that has been a running theme for the U.S. men's national team, and it does not change here. Cameron Gardner-Vickers, Mark McKenzie, Tim Ream, Chris Richards. I mean, Anthony Robinson. You got heads here that you trust.
Yeah. Well, hold on. Let's look at this realistically. Like Richards can play right back or center back, right? And you got McKenzie, Vickers, Robinson, and Richards all as center. Oh, and Ream all as center backs possibilities, right?
Yeah.
So who would you? I mean, for me, I've always been a huge Mark McKenzie supporter, but I understand he's had his struggles. I don't want bottles and cans thrown at me, but I would start Vickers and Robinson in the center. I mean, I don't know. Ream's still an extremely talented player. Father Time beats all of us eventually, man.
I was thinking that too. I'm like, you're gonna throw Ream. He's gonna be facing some of the best attackers in South America.
It's gonna be a little tough.
It's gonna be tight.
But I'm fine with it. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess the big elephant in the room, because I'll say this before going to this. Anthony Robinson, in my opinion, Jedi is low key one of the top 3 players on the team. I can't tell you how many times an attack starts from Anthony Robinson. Like almost every time you see a good attack for the U.S., that's where it's coming from. And
Really quick. How many MLS guys are in this roster?
3.
4.
Sean John.
We got Shaq Moore.
Miles
Robinson. We got Timothy Tillman, but he'll get cut. We got no shade to Tim.
No,
he's building himself a career, man. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, we got 4 MLS guys. Am I missing someone?
I can't find a 4th one actually.
No,
I'm dumb.
Sean Johnson.
Oh, Sean Johnson. That's the one I'm missing. Yeah. Okay. I mean, Shaq Moore was the worst player on the U.S. at the World Cup, right? Like, is that enough to tell the kid to go out to pasture? Because that's what the big deal now is, right? Is replacing Dest. Like, how are you guys replacing Dest? I'm damn sure not turning to Shaq, but I will say I'd rather play Scally or a defender or even Chris Richards over, say, Timothy Weah. I don't know.
I don't see Tim Weah. Oh, Tim Weah is here. I mean, do you think that is a way for him to work his way back into the roster and work? Maybe he goes with that because of the transition he's been going through with AC Milan, right?
So this has been my argument with this. This has been my argument regarding, when players are not having a great season in a club and somehow they still get called up. And I think this was kind of like a big issue that a lot of people had mentioned during the Bruce Arena era, where he will call up guys that are not doing great, try to get them motivated to do good, but he will do it on a national team level, right?
Well, that's when we had more friendlies and more games, and also the players needed – the MLS wasn't enough of a stage to sell a player. They needed more to be able to be sold. Now, we don't need to do that, but I'll interrupt you for a split second. Like, can you think of 3 other people that are a better winger that are U.S. born than Tim Weah? I cannot.
I mean, if we're gonna go that route, and if fine, maybe Tim Weah is having a bad season, And maybe, this is his way of kind of like refocusing. This might be his coming out party, so to speak. So it could happen. He could turn things around for the U.S. men's national team, and he could, hit the ground running when the next season, when next year starts. So, you know what? I guess in that sense, yes, take him along. But I wouldn't agree with it. No, not since you put it that way. I mean, I would normally not agree with it. If you mentioned, some guy, like a Costa from the Fire. If you were to tell me he's a backup in a bench,
I'd be okay with Acosta in this midfield. If we're gonna slide over to the midfield,
let's go to the midfield. Let's go to the midfield.
I would be okay with
big lineup talk.
I would be okay with Acosta being a backup in the midfielder, not knowing that he's going to be a starter, but that he's at least just a reserve guy. But Tyler Adams, Johnny Cardoso, Luca De La Torre, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, Gio Reyna, Malik Tillman, Timmy Tillman. Who the fuck is Timmy Tillman?
Are you serious? That's Malik's brother. He's killing it at LAFC.
Yeah,
the last 2 seasons.
He's like, who the fuck is Timmy Tillman?
It's Malik Tillman's brother.
Oh, that's great.
That's the guy that is going to get cut.
Yeah, if we have to get down to 26 guys, Timothy Tillman is not making this roster.
Is he
now? But
if he's not that good, then why is he here?
I mean, he's going to be. He's like 21 years old. He's like 20 years old or something. You know what I mean? Like it's develop. You got to develop guys too, because let's bring up, like, you just read off all those names, and what was in my head is you guys talking about Acosta, and I'm with you. Like, yeah, he's of level, but then look at these names, with the exception of Timmy, which you always need to bring some kids. Where is he fitting in? A Cardoza 1v1, as far as, like, if you're picking a team, I'd probably at this point pick Cardoza over him. De La Torre maybe, but even then you have certain things with De La Torre, like he's basically Pulisic's bodyguard. You know what I mean? So, like, he'll, on the field. So it's like, where would Acosta might not have a home in this team anymore. Look at this midfield.
So, my point is proven. The Fire did ruin him.
I mean, they might have, but
they got Tyler Adams and Yunus Musa. They don't really need Acosta.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, I mean, with Weston McKennie, I mean, like, where are you going to fit him in this roster? That's wild. That's the definition of a guy who hasn't done anything wrong to lose his spot, but has just lost his spot through age.
Yep.
It's funny, man. You look at the U.S. and we have people like Beasley and Donovan who played in so many World Cups because we just didn't have the kind of depth that we do now. You look at you look at, like, in Italy, or maybe they're a bad example since they missed the last 2 World Cups, but like a Brazil, you're like, oh, X, Y, and Z is an amazing player, and he only played at 1 World Cup because, you know what I mean? He was, his age, so that kind of stuff happens all the time. Any surprises here for you guys? Anybody you're not happy with? I mean, Timothy Tillman surprised the shit out of James.
Yeah. I mean, if James doesn't know him, that's saying something.
Well, Christopher Lund Hansen, were we actually talking about this guy before too, where he's kind of like they're bringing him along in a similar way with Timmy Tillman?
He's the only one that could get me to be a little bit frustrated because he has played so poorly when given the opportunity.
In a U.S. jersey?
Correct. In all 3 of those games, he was at fault for at least a goal in each of them, on top of not playing well on top of that. So, yeah, like, he's just had a rough run of it. I'd almost rather see him not get called until he's so good that the coach gets heat for not calling him. Does that make sense?
He plays in Serie B, he's trying to, rise, get up to, how we were talking about this last time? How, sometimes you need guys to play in Serie B, and you were giving me crap about it.
I know. I mean, I think they were in Serie A when he signed, weren't they? I don't know. That's neither here nor there.
Well, speaking of neither here nor there, we got a couple of forwards who are there. Brendan Eriksson, Florin Balogun, Ricardo Pepi, Christian Pulisic, Josh Sargent, Tim Weah, and Haji Wright.
4 forwards, huh? That to me, this lineup is to me. I'm seeing something that's scaring the bejesus out of me, but we'll get there in a moment. Any surprises here? Anybody you guys don't want to see? I mean,
we got heavy hitters, man.
We do. Sargent's dealing with he just came back from a long injury. Same thing with not Haji, I guess, but I don't know, man. Like, there might not be a lot of spots to play all these guys. And the problem is Balogun has kind of really struggled this past season. And that really opened the door for Ricardo Pepi, who looked all of up for it. Josh Sargent, who is any chance he's played really well despite being injured all the time. And Haji Wright had a pretty solid year, man. And I'm not mad at Haji Wright. I'm not the kind of guy who's anti Haji Wright.
Would you start him alongside Pulisic?
No, not at all. No, I would not. And we're creeping into the biggest problem I have with all of this right now.
Oh my God, here we go.
I'm about to lose my.
You know what's messed up? We never talked about Gio Reyna.
Yeah, I mean, he's another one. Like, look at him. He. That's the thing with some of these players. Sometimes they just have so much talent and they're just in a bad situation. Yeah. Like, I mean, God, look, let's put it this way. Bastian Schweinsteiger hadn't even taken the winner's medal off of his neck from the 2014 World Cup, and he wasn't even in the 18 at Manchester United. Sometimes guys are just in bad situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which, by the way, kind of led to a worse situation when you signed with a Fire.
Yeah, but we're not. That's not the point. That was not the point of this conversation. But so overall, looking at all of this, you know what this screams, don't you?
What?
3-5-2, which I want to run my head into a wall. Timothy Weah's development has been stalled by being forced to play as a wingback as opposed to either a back or a winger. And I feel like we already struggle enough to score goals despite having high octane scoring power. I hate the 3-5-2. I feel like you pull so many players backward that it just creates no goals. It's the thing that drives me crazy the most. And I know Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson in our 4-3-3 are the engines of the offense, like I just got done saying.
You're talking about Timmy Weah, but he's also been struggling to score goals. Like, so it doesn't matter where you put him. Right back, right wing back. I don't know about that.
Keep in mind that this group
facilitated so many pools to goals. On top of, do not disrespect Timothy. I scored in the World Cup. Weah.
Hold on. So we look at this group. You got Bolivia, you got Uruguay, you got Panama. Right off the bat, Uruguay is probably your toughest opponent.
Forget the group. These guys are about to play Colombia and Brazil. Did you know this?
Yeah, I know this. But you know what? They can go ahead and Berhalter could go and experiment against Colombia and Brazil. I don't care. The point is that he better stop experimenting when the group stages hit.
No, it's going to be a 3-5-2, and we're going to lose all 3 group stage matches 1-0. It's going to be awful.
You're going to lose against Panama?
I mean, we've done it before.
Yeah. You're going to lose against Bolivia?
Probably not. I do like our chances against Bolivia. Now, I'm terrified because I feel like Triple G just is going to take all this gold and turn it into shit.
The game against Uruguay, that will certainly be a real test for the Americans.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
there you go.
They're high flying right now.
Didn't Uruguay beat Argentina and Buenos Aires?
And Brazil.
Oh, yeah, whoa.
Yeah, Uruguay is like the for real right now.
Well, are we talking about they're playing like the 1930 Uruguay team that won the World Cup, huh?
They're doing something.
They're playing like the 1952 World Cup team that beat Brazil in the final.
So, James, you're so oddly quiet. How do you feel about this roster? How do you feel about this team?
I feel pretty good. I feel better than I felt the last.
Yeah, the last couple rounds of call-ups. Yeah,
8 years where it felt like there was a weakness. Well, now it feels like there are strengths.
My thing is I wonder how this roster would have looked if we had someone else managing this team. And I know we beat the horse to death already, but
I don't know anymore.
What horse? Frank Klopas to USMNT?
No.
God,
I don't know. Greg Berhalter might be the best U.S. men's national coach available right now because Jesse Marsh is no longer available.
So, how would you guys line this team up? I would go 4-4-3 and just replace Dest straight up with another guy playing right back.
Well, I thought Dest was injured, right?
No, 4-3-3. My bad.
4-3-3. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm saying I would just straight up replace Dest because I think the whole reason we're going 3-5-2 is to replace Dest by pulling Weah further back as a wing back. Then you have Anthony as a wing back. Then you got the 3 center backs, which would make sense why we brought 5. And then you're going to throw Pulisic up top with a Balogun, I think. I think that's what we're going to look at. And that's not what I would do. I would go the standard 4-3-3. I would not risk Tyler Adams right away. I'd probably play I'd probably play Musa McKinney with Gio Reyna in front of him. I would definitely have Pulisic on the left. On the right, I mean, Aronson's hasn't played all that great. You got to go Tim Weah. And then I'd start Balogun just because I do think his talent is just head and shoulders above the other guys, despite them having better seasons. I mean, that's what I would do. I don't know. Am I stupid?
I mean, the team that beat Mexico, that's Pulisic, that's Haji Wright, it's Tim Weah, it's McKennie, it's Tyler Adams, Gio Reyna, who didn't get called back in.
Who's
and
Mexico?
Scored a goal.
But who's Mexico?
Well, Mexico was nobody. Gio Reyna's in this lineup.
I thought Reyna didn't get called up.
Yeah, he did. You went right past him.
He patched things out with Greg Berhalter like a year ago.
I did. Okay, he's right above Malik Tillman. I'm sorry, I missed that.
The Tillman brothers just have got you.
I know. They got him in his head.
They got him shook.
Gio, Pulisic, Tyler. I mean, they got Haji right now pegged. Tim Weah, McKennie, Anthony Robinson, of course, Tim Ream, Chris Richards, Serginho Dest. No Dest, though. Matt Turner. No Dest. Yunus Musa, often used. Brendan Aronson, often used. Johnny Cardosa, he wants to try him out. Malik Tillman getting some looks. Florin Balogun, they promised him minutes.
I mean, Balogun has played well in his very few games for the U.S. He just had a rough go in Monaco. It's a real rough go of it this past year.
Monaco is a tough place.
Yeah, when you got PSG and who's the other one?
There is no other one.
That's it. It's PSG and Monaco.
Who won it last year?
Oh, the Timothy Weah's old team. They fell off.
Lens.
God, what? Lens or no? Who was it? God, thanks DPG. Now you're gonna make me sound stupid. Oh man, who did he? Oh God. Nice? No.
PSG won in 2022. PSG won in 2023. PSG won in 2021. LOSC.
Yes, Lille. Lille was when Tim Weah won it.
Won in 2020-21. And then before that is a whole bunch of PSG.
A bunch of PSG, yeah. Well, I mean, when you gotta face PSG,
Monaco won it in 2016.
Holy shit! Was that the no? Because that was after 2014. I was gonna say, was that the James Rodriguez year?
I mean, that might be.
I don't remember who was on that Monaco team. But so I don't know. I guess. Oh, that's right. That's when he was he's still a kid.
Was
prior.
Mbappe as a 16, 17-year-old there?
Yep. So yeah, I don't know. I'm happy with this lineup. I have concerns about how it's going to be coached.
It was Mbappe. Wow.
Yeah, you have concerns. We all have concerns, man. And the thing is that the clock is ticking. We're getting closer to 2026, and if Greg can't get it together, it's gonna be a really tight schedule to put someone new.
So back in the day when I was watching this team around the mid 2000s, I desperately wanted them to win all the time just to prove that we could actually like have people show up to a stadium and people watch it on TV and actually like win a game. But now I'm kind of like, as long as we perform at 2026, if we get skunked at Copa America this year, who cares? Like I'm just so ready for 2026. 2022, we could have done so much more. I feel like a lot of people.
Well, they missed the previous Olympics, so it kind of hampered what they could do. Or not the Olympics. I'm sorry, the previous World Cup.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I guess that's the biggest question of them all, right? It did missing that World Cup get us to where we have all this talent now, or did we lose something not going?
I honestly think that was the best thing that happened to the U.S. men's national team.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
Hold on.
Look what happened to the kids with the
Hold on.
school.
Before you go crazy, think about it. If we would have made that World Cup, Russia 2018, we probably would have been still stuck in that Bruce Arena cycle, and some of these younger guys might have not get noticed. Because Bruce Arena loved getting his guys. He loved getting his DeMarcus Beasleys. He loved getting all these aging stuff.
I mean, the question becomes, because look at his teams when he coaches the Revolution, or even back in the Galaxy days when he'd put Emmanuel Boateng or Jossie Zardes or whoever out there. He's not afraid to play the kids, but we were in a precarious situation in qualifying when he took over. So it was almost like, I don't care that like we have all this talent. I need guys that know how to do the job. It was it's like, okay, I'm going to train my team to do this, but until we do, I'm going to hire the guys to do the first round. You know what I mean? Like, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? But honestly, it took the U.S. men's national team to miss a World Cup to actually kind of get a cycle going and force growth. Because it did force growth.
They should have done it without having to do that.
I would have liked that.
I'm gonna tell you this. If you're worried about the U.S. men's national team, or you're still upset the U.S. men's national team missed the World Cup, you look at the situation now, around the area. Mexico, they're on shaky legs. Like,
if they didn't have the World Cup gift wrapped in this next one, you're right.
They might not make it. You're right. They're in a doldrum. Don't forget that. Do not forget, do not forget that that Graham Zusi made a goal to get Mexico into the World Cup. Had he not scored that goal, and it was in the last 10 minutes of that game, Mexico would not have gone to the 2014 World Cup.
Exactly, but see,
and they did not afford us the same courtesy 4 years later.
That's fine. That's fine. Because you know what? What's going to happen? Mexico's on shaky legs. They'll get past the 2026 World Cup. When 2030 comes around. And especially when you have teams like Panama that have grown, Jamaica that have gotten better. That adds to the competition. Like, those teams could literally beat Mexico. Look, Mexico is not the scary giant that they were in the 90s.
No.
This is a everybody in the region has evolved. And right now Mexico is lacking behind, obviously miles behind USA.
I don't think that'll last long though. I don't think that'll last long.
There's a lot of controversy behind that. I'll just leave it at that,
all right.
Because
we'll just leave it at that. So before we sneak out of here, the very last thing I want to say is the only negative I took personally, well, not the only, But the only lasting negative of missing 26 or 18 is how Josie and Michael Bradley got Bill Buckner or Steve Bartman or however you'd like to say it. That's the only thing I don't like, because those two were legit. And like, yes, Josie, like, let's put it this way: Lukaku was everything I had hoped Josie Altidore would ever be, but wasn't, unfortunately. But Michael Bradley was the truth for a long time, for real. And like, to see him get like the Bill Buckner or the Steve Bartman treatment kind of sucks. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we got a lot of fun stuff planned for you. We'll be back. Welcome back, fellow enemies of the fire. We are here, and we are so excited to talk about Major League Soccer's Player of the Week, Raquinho. Let's give it up, boys. Now, did any of you see Wednesday night when a raccoon ran onto the field? Now I've forgotten where it was. Philly, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
You guys
seen the
completely...
size?
Philly versus NYC.
So you guys, I don't know if you guys saw this, but when I come home from seeing the game live and in person, I like to go back home, kick my feet up, and turn on 360 and just watch back what's going on, or just have it on in the background.
MLS 360, pretty darn good.
You know what? Like, I know everybody complains like we can't see it live, but honestly, I just don't check any of the scores after the Fire play and then go home and watch it. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? But anyway, I digress. So this was pretty amazing. They have Tops. I James, if you could show the people, Tops put out a card for the raccoon. Somebody made a nice fake FIFA card for it, and I saw a heat map, which literally almost brought tears to my eyes, because I had just got done. Like, they were quick on these memes too, because I had just gotten done watching it happen and laughing, and then I'm looking at my phone, just boom. Oh man. So did you guys, so this is not the first time this league has had run-ins with raccoons. No, the raccoons in Major League Soccer have a rich tradition, mostly stemming back to them residing in RFK Stadium.
Pretty much.
There was plenty of families of raccoons apparently in that stadium, which I unfortunately never got a chance to go.
Oh, you forgot the ones at Bridgeview.
Oh yeah, I did forget the ones at Bridgeview.
They used to hang out at Section 8.
Oh God, I love it. They're so cute too, and thankfully not rabbitous, right? But
not usually.
So is this one so is Raquinho gonna get a call up?
I hope so. I hope he has a green card at least. If not, he's American born. That would be great.
He's American born. He doesn't need a green card.
Nope.
Hell yeah, beautiful.
It's not an international transfer.
Oh man, did you guys ever see the footage of the raccoon that broke into the press box in Salt Lake City, and he was like hands up against the glass of like a popcorn vending machine trying to get at the popcorn?
Only in Salt Lake.
Man. I know. I love it. Anyway, from that fun topic, I want to move on to something I saw. Like, this is basically our shitpost corner of the podcast, because literally right before we're going live, I'm on Twitter and I see a video. So apparently the news is that Reynoso's getting let go, or like getting bought out. and he's not going to actually play for Minnesota. Or I think they're trying to sell him something. Something's going on. There was a deal in place, but it hasn't gone through yet. Then I get this video of allegedly it's Reynoso. I do not know. I don't even know if it's AI made or not. Like, but it's apparently him standing with a big bag of money, and like another cat's got a big thing of money in a pew. So, I don't know what the hell is going on.
A Second Amendment piece.
Yeah, yeah. Someone rocking the Second Amendment out loud, and I don't know what to believe. James, are you watching it? You look like you are an intently.
I'm not watching it, but I was clicking through it.
Okay.
Yes.
So
and trying to avoid the pew.
Yep.
I honestly was about to say how much I wanted the Fire to just take a flyer on this guy.
Before
we got on the podcast, I was going to bring up how he was falling out at Minnesota, and let's just like, the season's already done. Let's like take a flyer on this guy. And 20 minutes before we record, I see this on Twitter.
Yeah, no bueno.
No.
I mean, what is going on with this cat? Like, I never even understood it, because last season he didn't come back from Argentina for like a month or two, right?
Well, here's a comment. Here's a comment from a Twitter person. This is alleged. It's more of the same, quote unquote, with this guy. Not knowing his background and his environment, it's the issue. He has been himself always. That's exactly why he is in trouble every time he goes back there. What failed
the guy who's just like, I want to do hood shit with my friends.
What failed at Minnesota United was the all-around scouting. Fantastic player with a tumultuous background.
Interesting. This
essentially
is this a situation like what's his face, Adriano or whatever, the Brazilian guy who allegedly went back home to become basically a gangster?
Yeah. So, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. That's like a whole career, change.
Yeah, but he retired to go into a new career.
Yeah, at least this guy. Well, man, now you think about it, what team is he gonna try to sign with?
I'll try and find that. Let me hear what you had to say, because I think it was in Argentina.
Oh, wait, is he trying to sign? I thought it was with who's the team that he's trying to sign with?
That's what I'm trying to find. I think it's in Argentina.
Cordoba?
Yes,
No.
Cordova.
Is it Cordova? Let me see. I thought it was.
No, it's Zolos. It's the Mexican team.
That's in Tijuana.
Yes, it is.
And he's taking pictures like that? Oh man.
I, unlike my fellow other people of white suburban people, I have not ever been to Tijuana. Is that still the vibe?
I've never been to Tijuana myself. I'm sure it's nice.
I just can't believe that I saw this right before we recorded, and I
just think it's weird that something like that he'll post something like that right before his transfer to Tijuana. Like,
I mean, is he sabotaging though? Like,
would that be considered self-sabotaging?
This guy's asking for an investigation. Like, A, where did he get all that money? B, why are they flashing a pew? C, what is going on there that they feel this brash, this braggadocious, this wanton and flaunting this type of essentially violence and wealth? It's wild. And this guy is also supposed to be a player in MLS, a player that, they wanted young soccer players in the U.S. to look up to and to want to emulate. Don't emulate this guy, though. No.
Well, I mean, it begs the question, like, remember all the like, it's just his version of that shit Breck Shea got into when he was at Stoke, when he had the picture of himself and like the American flag cut off with the two machine guns.
Jeez.
You don't remember that?
It sounds really familiar.
No,
The legend
this
of
sounds a
Brett
lot
Shea?
more like Ja Morant of the NBA. This sounds a little bit more like Ja Morant, but a little bit worse. I mean, Ja Morant is just flashing a gun and driving around. You know, maybe he's pulling. It's not that he's suggesting that he's doing drive-bys, but like, what are you doing around flashing, doing that? And then,
Yeah, I mean,
and then you got this guy who's like flashing gun with a whole bunch of stacks of cash. Are you suggesting that you're robbing things? Like, what is the point of these types of videos? It makes me wonder.
I don't know. Like, I mean, here's the thing. Let's put it this way. It does look one way. It does. I'm not going to say it doesn't. But you always have to at least, you can't like, this shit is like fresh, right? You have to give it some time to find out because you don't want to be out here talking about how he's the bad dude. And then you find out tomorrow it's a stupid Visa commercial. You know what I mean? And so they like, when they were done, they were just like, oh, look at all this money. How awesome and cool. We're going to act cool. You know, so like, I know that sounds ridiculous, but that's how I feel about all kinds of news. Like, you got to wait a minute to find out what really is going on. But it does not look good.
Yeah.
It is not a good look.
Maybe they stopped. Maybe they stopped. Maybe they got a reward for stopping some sort of crime, and they're like, yeah, we're showing our weapon here because we stopped the crime, and this is our reward money.
You never know. Like, like I said, it's that's not nearly as plausible as like, we were filming something. Look how cool this is. Like, it looks like we're robbing someone. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. But why glorify that? That's what's so odd to me. It's like, what are you?
Yeah.
What part of this culture are you trying to glorify? Because guns are fucking cool. Money is fucking awesome when you got a lot of it, and you can buy the things you want. But like, at what point are like, what is the goal of what they were doing with it? It seems a little bit different.
It's why. I mean, I remember a guy, a musical artist who stood in his backyard and shot a bunch of Bud Light cans with a machine gun. So like,
is that Kid Rock or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. There's stupid people everywhere, dog.
Yeah.
You know, so. Oh man. Anyway, I just thought these things make me laugh. MLS, MLS made it when we start getting TMZ shit. Like, that's when you know this league for real made it. But all right. So, talking about stupid things. And hopefully, you know what? I'm going to tease that. We're going to talk about something very stupid in the next segment. It's going to be a real short one, and then we got some real fun stuff for you instead of talking about the fire. So, stick around. We'll be back. We love you.
See you on the other side. Kick that like button for Enemies of the Fire and comment. We love to read your comments.
Welcome back, fellow enemies of the fire. In this segment, I'd like to address Wolverhampton Wanderers' plea to get rid of VAR in EPL. And I have a visceral reaction to it. Gentlemen, how do you feel? How are you feeling?
Crybabies. What a fucking bunch of crybabies. Everybody else can fucking make it work, figure out to make it work, but leave it up to the British who can't make it fucking work. Works all over Europe. Works in MLS, great. Works everywhere where they want it to work. We're in the place where they don't not want it to work. Well, what do you know? What do you know? Yeah. It doesn't seem to work in the place where they don't want it to work, where literally everybody who lives there and works there actively sabotages it because they're like, fuck, this is it in the spirit of the game, don't you know, wanker? And it's just like they think that they know better, like they're this fucking elitist. And no, they're a fucking bunch of wankers all themselves. They gotta figure this out. because everybody else has. The World Cup, sorry, it's on VAR. It's not on VAR, you fucking idiot. It's insanity.
No, and it worked well. I am in MLS, I'm more than happy with it. Sure, it gets a few calls wrong, but I feel like we get less calls wrong than we did before. And and we have like there's repercussions to it. You do catch more bad calls. But where before it was just like, cool, let's bitch about it for a week until the next game.
Like if this is a video game, we're all playing video games, and this is a game, and VAR's part of the game. Like the English are the people who quit in the first week of playing the game. They're like, I don't want to play this. All right, give me hacks. All right. And meanwhile, everybody was like, oh, okay, how do I get better at this and improve and figure this out? And they get better at it. Meanwhile, the British are like, fuck this. I don't even want to try.
No, it's like when you get elected to office and then you're like, the post office sucks. I'm going to hire this guy. And this guy does everything to make it worse. And then the post office closes and your donors get to get that business. That's kind of what this feels like. It feels like, to your point, feels like they didn't want it. So they just did it the worst of any country, and just now they're gonna cry like, oh, we'll see, it doesn't work, we're not gonna have it.
What do they call that when you're working slow? It's like a slow strike, like when you're not striking, but like you work slower in an effort as a form of strike. That's essentially what the British are doing with VAR. They're like trying to do everything they can to be like, it doesn't quite work now, doesn't mate? And they're like, and then you're like, what about America? What about here? What about everywhere else where they want to make it work? Well, yeah.
I mean, the way I see it is that I get where people kind of might get upset. You kind of lose that sense of unpredictability. In a football match or soccer if you're in the States. And I get that. I get that, hey, the controversial calls and all that stuff kind of goes away with VAR. But at the same time, how many teams have gotten screwed out of, when before VAR, out of World Cups,
Oh my God! Look, remember Thierry Henry handled the ball against Northern Ireland, and France was about to not make the World Cup, man. Like, and they got the hand of God, one of the most famous plays in all of sport. Like, I don't know. I'm pro VAR. It has me, because like I watched so many Mexican USA games where somebody would get elbowed in the face.
That's
and no card, not even a foul. And it's just they catch. Oh, go ahead.
Or even the calls that you don't see on TV. Like you might see, like on TV, it might look like, oh, it was just a feint elbow. But then when they put the thing on VAR, the guy took an elbow shot right in the face, like bleeding on the nose and everything.
Yeah, it's like, why is he down? Oh, his ocular cavity caved in. I didn't see that on the first go around.
Yeah, and then the ref looks at it, he's like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
So he might have given a yellow, but then it's always funny when they look at a VAR and they take out the yellow and they're like, pull out the red.
I think the celebration argument is BS, because most goals are not razor thin margin of offside, right? So you drained it. You know what I mean? It's a goal. You're celebrating. But like, even on those other plays, if it matters and it's a big enough goal, everybody's standing there, with bated breath, and then freaks out the second they get the call. Like, yeah, I don't get that argument about it ruins the celebrations. I guess I'm pro VAR. It's been done well here in MLS. Yeah, I enjoyed it in the World Cup. I enjoy the fact that we get these 7, 8, 10-minute added times, because I used to, I remember the U.S. looking for a goal against Ghana in 2010. You know what I mean? And they just wasted 20 minutes. I
enjoy the part of getting it right about 98, 99% of the time. where without VAR, it was closer to 90%. I mean, there was 10%, 15% where they were getting it wrong. Like referees, they're old. They gotta get their eyes checked often. Like, and they don't do it all the time. They don't keep up with their optometry appointments.
Dude, there are at the maximum level, right? There are 4 referees to watch 22 people do something.
Yeah, and like
honestly,
yeah,
if we wanted to do it without VAR, you would need 22 referees, really.
Yeah, right. They got rid of the referee that were behind the goal line. You remember when they had that one referee that was behind the goal line?
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah,
for a little bit. They did that for a little bit. But what I'm saying is this: they got rid of the whole referee's gonna go talk to the linesman situation. We still have that every now and then, but more or less, the referee has an earpiece and they let him know, like, hey, wait. He goes, he always like, hey, wait, and then he'll either call a penalty or he'll call he'll review a play, possible red card play. So it's done right. I mean, I don't.
You don't see the problem.
I don't see the problem unless the British teams are getting screwed out of the Champions League on VAR calls because they messed up.
Well, their VAR is done differently. They do offside slightly differently, and
of course,
the rules of how they can review it are differently. And again, yeah, it's purposely putting hurdles in the way.
The reason we all love it, it's not just because of the NFL, but it's because we like things. We like them getting it right most of the time. And even with the NFL and their replay, they don't get it right 100% of the time. Nope. And the same thing with VAR. But the greatest thing is that we get close enough to know enough.
We do get close enough. I'm willing to take the arguments we have with VAR.
Yep.
So.
And they're like, oh, it slows up the game. Are you fucking kidding me? So you don't need another couple minutes to drink? I thought you loved this fucking game.
Yeah, exactly.
I like the whole NFL style now where the referee.
They announce it. Yeah. Dude, I was in the bathroom. I've missed both times that it's happened at Soldier Field. Somehow I've missed it.
Man.
I was in the bathroom the last time that it happened, and oh my god, I was so mad because I've yet to see it in person. But anyway, speaking of Soldier Field, in our next segment, instead of talking about a terrible team, we're going to do a tier list to find the top 10 coaches in Chicago Fire history. So stick with us.
Thanks for hanging out here on Enemies of the Fire.
Welcome back, Enemies of the Fire. And, this is usually the part of the show where we go over everything going on with Chicago Fire. We will lament the fact that George Heitz has a job. We lament the fact that Frank Klopas is still coaching this team. And we just, generally, we have run out of things to say that they're terrible. They lost 2 games this week, both at home, by the way. So, screw it. We're going to figure out who the top 10 coaches are in Chicago Fire history by doing a tier list. So, James, you're driving this car.
All right. Well, welcome to the tier list of Chicago Fire head coaches or managers, depends what dialect you use, right? We have the list of 14 managers, really 11, but 14 managers of different periods of time in Chicago Fire history, and they're all in order. And we have a little bit of a grading system called great, good enough, insufficient data, bad, and absolute garbage. I thought I changed that tier to something else, but I guess we're stuck with it.
It was supposed to be, you were going to change it to dumpster fire.
I changed it to dumpster fire, it just didn't save.
But you know what? That's the most cliche joke about this team in the last 15 years, man.
Oh, I might be able to change it live. I'm doing it live.
We're doing it live, guys.
All right, let's see. Boom. Yep, I changed it. All right, so there it is. So let's start with Who do you want to start with here? I mean, like, our clearly
Let's start
our-
at the beginning. Let's start at the beginning, brother.
Let's start with the.
Oh man, it's just gonna go downhill from there. That's gonna be the
Yeah, it is.
a wild tier list. All right, Bob Bradley is our first on our tier list. I
Great.
mean,
Former U.S. men's national team coach, Mr. Bob
great.
Bradley. I like
former
Did you
MLS
see
Coach of the Year, Bob Bradley from 1998. I mean, just what you can't go wrong with this guy.
Did you see how he didn't even like wait for us to talk about him? He just put him in great.
Yeah, he just already.
It's
I
just
mean-
like it's just that one's clear.
He's the GOAT. He won the U.S. Open Cup and the MLS Cup in 1998.
Yeah,
He won another Open Cup, right, in 2002. Am I wrong? Pretty sure, yeah. He won another Open Cup in 2002. Like, dude, he built the dynasty. He grew players. He brought in players. He managed when we actually had big personalities and big time players. He managed personalities.
the only
Bob
thing that
Bradley's
pissed me
the
off.
GOAT.
The only thing that pissed me off is that he left to New York.
Well, I mean, he's Jersey, but yeah, I mean, this man coached Egypt during a civil war. This man, dude, you cannot. This man is like T2000. He is a robot, dude. I have nothing but respect for him. James was absolutely correct in putting him right there, right away.
And for fire coaches, he's absolutely in this tier. He wins the double in his very first season. Has 4 successful seasons, 1 really bad season that actually ends up with him leaving and absconding to, as you said, New York, right?
No, he went to the U.S. team.
He went to the U.S. team.
No, he went to New York Metro Stars.
He went to the New York Metro Stars after 2002.
Hold on.
Yeah.
I don't believe this.
So this is wild, though. Like, he had 20 wins his first season, 18, 17, 16. So he just goes down
son
by
of a bitch. He's right.
Told you.
And then 13 losses in 2002 leads to his departure, and in comes Dave Sarakin.
Well, hold on. Before we move to Dave Sarakin, thank God no other coach will ever leave us for New York again.
Oh, man.
Anyway, Mr. Dave Sarakin, also a prominent member of the coaching staff for many different regimes at the U.S. Soccer Federation, had himself a pretty good team to coach. Man, look,
Dave Sarakin.
Call me crazy, but wasn't Bob Bradley like Bruce Arena's assistant at DC United before the fire?
Bob Bradley was Bruce Arena's assistant at Virginia, I believe.
Oh,
And then also was his assistant at DC. And then everybody said, wait a second, this Bruce Arena guy's got himself a little bit of a coaching tree, and Chicago Fire plucked him out of DC to, win the double.
And wasn't Dave Sarakin part of Bruce Arena's
I mean, it's all part of the same tree. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm like, was it Bob Bradley's assistant manager, or was he Bruce Arena's assistant? I don't remember.
I mean, it's a good question, but again, he was all a part of that whole coaching tree. And like, I mean, Dave Sarakin, it's still a little bit before my time of like being a hardcore watcher of the Chicago Fire, but I'd be hard pressed not to put him up in great with
he was an assistant. Wow. That was a good coaching staff at DC United. You had Bruce Arena, Bob Bradley, and Dave Sarakin. Oh man, that was no wonder they were unstoppable the first 2 seasons.
They were unstoppable the first 3 out of 4 seasons.
Yeah, 3 or 4. Yep.
So James, go back to that tier list right quick.
Let's go to the tier list. And so Dave Sarakin, where do you want him here?
I want him great. I want him in great, but he's not as good as Bradley.
No.
There are 2 coaches that are both MLS Coach of the Years. Dave Sarakin won a U.S. Open Cup in 2003, and they won the Community Shield for having the best record in MLS. Meanwhile, Bob Bradley, also MLS Cup Coach of the Year in 1998. So the obvious best choices for great. I wonder how the rest of these coaches will stack up here.
It depends on if you mean their career or their time at Chicago.
Yeah, we're talking about their time spent in Chicago.
So next up is
Hold on, I don't want to hang the door up on Dave Sarakin quite yet, but in 2003, 15 wins, it finished in first place, did really well. Second, in 2004, they really struggled. They did not do well with Dave, but they stuck with him, and they had a great 2005, really good 2006. Chicago Fire still in really good hands there with Dave Sarakin. Then comes 2007. And the next coach on our list, Denny Hamlet.
No. Skip that one because he only did 3 games. He was more front office still. He was just in for when Sarakin left.
Yeah.
So I think Sarakin left early to take a job as like a youth coach in the U.S.
Oh.
And Hamlet just took over for a couple games.
For 3 games, and then it says Juan Carlos Osorio.
Oh, Juan Carlos Osorio.
That name should sound familiar to most of our viewers here.
Another man who left us for New York after one season. I was shocked to see he only coached 18 games. Now, how did we finish? I'm trying to remember. We made 2 Eastern Conference Finals with Dennis, but did we make it with Juan? How far did we get in 07?
He had 6 wins, 3 losses, and 6 ties. So that's not bad. You're at 6. You're at
And it's the 3rd coach that's coming in the season.
Yeah,
How did we finish? How did we finish in 07 in the playoffs?
It says Dave Sarakin here, but
he started the year, then he left, and then old boy Dennis came in for a hot second, and then we hired Juan Carlos Osorio.
Postseason? We made the postseason?
Of course we did. Look at that semi. Okay, so we made the Eastern Conference semifinals.
No, we made the conference finals, and we lost to New England.
Oh, you're right. Okay, so we made the conference finals 3 straight years. 1 under Osorio and 2 under Hamlet. Okay, so Osario's sample size is much smaller than I thought, but he really used this. I would not say that. I would not say that.
I would keep him there. I will keep him there because we only had him for like 6 months, and he only played a handful of games. We've had coaches that will do good 1 year and then do crap the rest.
I would put him in good enough. Honestly, I felt like that 1 year, like he used as a springboard to eventually be Mexico head coach.
Well, how long did that last?
Well, it didn't, but come on.
But he's still one of the better Fire coaches. Yeah, he's in the upper tier.
I would have liked to see him at least have a couple of seasons, but I guess if you want to put him good enough, fine.
We could put him in a holding pattern insufficient.
We'll hold him there. We'll see where some other folks.
Yeah, all right. Denny Hamlet. I think we have sufficient data on Denny Hamlet.
You are insane. This is where I knew we were going to fight. Dennis Hamlet is number 3 on this list currently. Like, even with Osorio in good enough, I would have put Hamlet ahead of him. Hamlet made the conference finals in both of his seasons. He didn't even want to coach, hence the fact that he hasn't coached since. He's just been a big time, he's a big wig on a lot of different teams. He's been a GM. He's been a lot of things. A man who didn't even want to coach, had higher aspirations for the boardroom, ended up having 2 seasons that ended in the conference finals.
You know what? He actually will be a decent GM at a Fire.
Honestly, I want him right now. Honestly, he's somebody's president of soccer operations currently. Hold on, let me see what he's doing right now. This dude, I remember Fox Soccer Channel used to have a phone-in show, Fox Soccer Phone-In. That's where Eric Winaldo, told the story why John Harkes wasn't on the team. But
Oh, oh yeah, we're gonna go there. Yeah.
okay, so so he's not employed currently, but last season he was sporting director of New York Red Bulls. Dude, I'm telling you, Dennis Hamlet might even be better than Sarakin, but I will concede that he comes after Sarakin. I honestly,
How long was he a president or GM for New York?
well, he was an assistant in 2016 for New York, and then in 2017 through 2023, he was sporting director of Red Bull. He oversaw some good teams, and then he oversaw
That's what I was trying to get at. That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah. I wouldn't say he's great. He's probably was good enough.
All right, I will concede him behind Sarakin, but my personal love, like I miss this. Anyway, I was telling that story. He was on that call-in show, and Costa Rica just got an opening. I don't know if you noticed, but he's a Costa Rican American, and I was asking if they had reached out to him about the job and if he was interested or whatever, and he kind of laughed it off. But I think they were sniffing around Dennis Hamlet there for a hot minute. So I don't know, man. I'm a fan, but you can put Sarakin ahead of him.
You got
you
a
can
good
swap
point.
him and Sarakin.
You got a point. I mean, Sarakin's got more wins.
Sarakin did win silverware. That's kind of the thing that's killing me.
Sarakin's won silverware. Sarakin has 62 wins for the Fire. Hamlet's got 30 wins for the Fire. I mean, but in half the time. And imagine that. In half the time, Hamlet has 30 wins to Sarakin's. If he had double the time, he might have really been really great. I like
Extrapolate
Sarakin.
that.
I'm gonna move Denny Hamlet into the great category, right behind the silverware winning coaches.
I can die a happy man now that I have been able to be on a podcast and give Dennis Hamlet some love.
Moving on to the very next coach. I believe is it Carlos de los Cobos?
Yep.
Carlos de los Cobos.
Bad.
I went to like 4 games that season because I had just moved.
No, he's not. No, he was bad. He got fired.
Yeah, he was bad. He was in bad. There were going to be people worse, but he was in bad. And I'm going to tell you this.
You don't think he's a dumpster fire? I mean, he lasted 1 year and 4 months.
No, that's because of 2 reasons. A, we were a better franchise than expected more. If it was current times, he would have had 3 seasons. Secondly, I'll say this. He had a kind of crappy team. Like, look at 2010. 2010 was lit. And then,
McBride, Husidic, Carr, Freddie Lundberg.
That's when the wheels were falling off.
Nyarko, Pause, Thornton,
Nyarko.
Corbin Bone, CJ
Andrew
Brown,
Dykstra, Sean Johnson. Ugh.
Justin
I remember Andrew Dykstra.
Oh my God, Christoph Kroll.
Cigares.
I remember that guy too.
God.
Watson Sarobi.
Oh my God. Go back up, Tim Ward. Oh God. Umazor. Oh my God, I remember him. I thought he was going to be awesome.
He only played like 2 games, bro.
I know. I thought Umazor was going to be sick. See, back then, that's when the Fire had been good for so long. You're like, oh, well, I've never heard of this guy. He's got to be good. The Fire
yeah.
Oh, God. So, yeah, I think he was pretty easy to peg, honestly. I think I think you were right. He's in bad.
He's in bad.
But he's in bad.
He's in,
All right. What's next? Oh, look at that. It's the guy who fired him and then was like, I'll just appoint myself.
I could do a better job.
I decided we'll look for me, and I found me. Here I am. I have the job.
Okay. He's not great. Obviously, he's not great. He's definitely not good. I wish there was a mid-tier where it said just, he's not bad, he's not good, he's meh.
Because there's no.
If you're not bad, you're not. If you're not bad, you're not good. Then you're okay. So
we don't have an okay. Maybe I gotta add one.
I would say this. I mean,
add okay. Add okay.
Let's do this. Add a road below. We'll call it okay.
The first Klopas stint is when I started when a soccer club started making me upset with life. But like in retrospect.
I mean, the only reason I would even like consider Klopas' stint as okay was because he did give us that 2013 season where we had the league MVP Mike McGee, and we actually was that the year that that wasn't the year that we made the playoffs. The previous year we had made the playoffs with Klopas.
Kind of. It was a playing game.
Playing game, yeah.
And it was I sat home. I didn't give kids the candy. Like it ruined Halloween, man. 4-0.
Yeah.
It was just absolute garbage, man. The longer we talk, the closer I am to putting them in bad.
Frank Klopas in his very first stint, it was the best he ever did as a Fire coach.
Yes, it is.
There were some memorable games. There was the whole, that 2-1 win at DC where they scored the goals like in the last 3 minutes.
Oh yeah, you're right. So wait, hold on. Was Hamlet? De Los Cobos was the last person to get Blanco, wasn't he? Or did Frank?
Yeah. No, it was what was it? Yeah, it was the Cobos that got. Was it, or Dennis Hamlet was the last one? I think Dennis Hamlet might have been the last one.
No, because him and McBride played together a season, so that would have been 2010. All right, who's next? Who do we get to judge now?
Oh, hold on. I was looking up the Blanco
hold on,
stuff.
Quick shout out to Chicago Fire. This little PDF that we're looking at, like, this is the sickest thing I've ever seen.
Yep.
It is all stats for all seasons and like all sorts of information. It's
I see
wild.
2009
and he's not
here.
He's not there for 2010.
I don't think he's there for
really. Oh, McBride was there in 2009. That's what screwed me up. Okay.
And you know what it is too is that I guess Andrew Hoffman didn't want to pay Cuauhtemoc his money.
That sounds about right. Did you see in 2010 Marco Papa? He won MLS Goal of the Year from the first game of the season. I don't know if you guys remember that one, man. I went to that game. That was wild. We won 2-1. Marco Papa hit goal of the season. The MLS Puskas.
Wow.
Anyway.
Wow.
Moving on.
So we've placed Klopas into okay, fine.
Correct.
Following Frank Klopas is the other Frank.
Frank Yellow.
Oh God, man, that's dumpster fire territory now.
I would put him in bad, but behind De Los Cobos.
No. He was dumpster fire. Our worst season was with Frank Yellow.
Frank Yallop, like, what's hilarious about Frank Yallop is when he came to the Fire in what year was that? In 2014, the league had already passed him by.
Yeah, he's a dumpster fire, bro. Don't do bad.
No, you're right. Dumpster fire.
I think De Los Cobos was bad too.
I mean, that's why there's a bad category.
Those Cobos had more wins.
I mean, just to sneak ahead though, here, just like if we're looking at Frank's bad. Frank now, but Frank's not dumpster fire bad. So I feel like they are.
Don't
jump.
That's an argument we are about to have.
All right, I'm excited. So let's move on to Brian Bliss.
Hold on. Does anybody have any other stories of Frank Yellup other than just wanting to pull your hair out? Don't you dare put him there.
Don't you dare,
I don't know, man. Frank Yellup was just... That was the beginning. That
was kind of like that was the worst seasons with him running it.
You know, I was mad, but at least in my brain, I was like, okay, well, this is just the couple years the team's gonna suck, and then like once they get better, it'll be fine.
Yeah.
And they haven't gotten better since then. Anyway. Who was next, James?
Oh, yeah. There's not a whole lot we can say about Frank Yellow besides the fact that it was just crappy transfers.
Well, but look at this team. This team should not have been that bad. Look at this: Akam, Bonanique.
Oh, that's right. That was Akam's first season.
Maloney, Patrick Niarco, Harry Shipp. Oh my
So,
God, that's Jovan. Oh no, that's Johnson. No. Oh, we did have Jovan Jones.
We
that
had
year.
Jovan Jones. Yeah, we were the one that
Quincy
brought him.
Amarikwa. Oh my God.
Lovell Palmer,
Mike McGee, just unbelievable.
Matt Polster.
Man.
Yeah, we still had Mike McGee, but he was hurt.
Oh man, Matt Watson. Or wait, who? Yeah, wait, was it Matt or Mike?
That was Matt.
Wait, you know what weird fire player that I loved that I felt like didn't get enough love was Mike Banner.
The Pizza Man, Dominic Oduro.
Oh,
yeah,
Dominic Oduro was.
I think Mike Banner might have been like. I think he went into crime after his soccer career ended.
No,
You went into crime?
No, Mike Banner, don't go into crime unless
Look it up, man. I think I saw someone posted it. Well, I think it was Mike Banner. Hold on, let me make sure before I put the guy.
Yeah. Oh shit. I mean, we'll give you time while we put Brian Bliss.
Brian Bliss was just bad. He was bad. I actually think he was better than Yallop, but not much.
No way.
Really?
Oh yeah. First off, if you take a look at their statistics, I think Brian Bliss did 5 games for the Fire, 1 win, 4 losses. He's statistically the absolute worst point per game coach, right? And you wouldn't believe who's right after him, but we'll talk about that later.
Well, like he wasn't actually a coach, right?
Yes, he was. Yeah, he was an interim coach.
No, but I mean, like that wasn't his trade. Like, actually, he never had a head coaching job. He was an interim in Columbus in 13 and an interim in 06 in Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
Besides that, he spent his whole time as an assistant.
And it was bad.
You're right.
Yeah, I can't find it.
That's not just bad. That's dumpster fire bad.
All right, I think we got a fight on our hands, gentlemen.
Well, which one? Okay, so yeah, Brian Bliss was dumpster fire. I think he was just there just to just be there. He wasn't even trying. He was just there to be there.
Yeah, he was just a warm body until they hired this man.
Oh no, Veljko Paunovic. Where do we place Veljko Paunovic? I like Veljko Paunovic. Now that he's away from the club, but
realistically speaking.
But he was not good when he was here. He had 1 good season, 2017, and he had 3 other bad seasons.
Very
so
bad
seasons. He's bad. I think he's bad. I think
he's better than De Los
Lobo. Yeah, there's sufficient data.
He's bad, but better than De Los Cobos.
Yes.
My biggest issue with Veljko is that he never really adapted to the situation. He just kept playing the same formation over and over again, not really adapting to the changes.
He was terrible. I'm not a fan of Veljko. Veljko made me rip my hair out. I felt like I feel like most of the fan base was very pro Veljko, and I just can't.
No, I lost my patience with him during 2018 once I saw the writing on the wall. I'm like, yeah, this guy sucks. 2016, I saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, yeah, this guy's garbage. All right, who's next?
Rafa.
I don't know, but I'm going to tell you this. I'm not seeing anything disparaging about Mike Banner.
I couldn't find it either.
Right, take it back.
I take it back.
We have to take it back unless someone in the comments below finds, contacts their private eye.
Well, would he go under Michael Banner? I don't know.
So, who's next here?
Rafa Wiki followed up Veljko Paunovic. I would put him bad, behind, or in front of Veljko, somewhere in that range.
I think he is why insufficient data exists, because in my opinion, he wasn't given a team to work with.
He had 51 matches. He had 50 games, and he sucked.
I mean, he did, but that that was some of the worst constructed teams that we ever had. He had personal issues and just could never. I don't know.
So it's a dumpster fire. Okay.
I feel like he was. No, he's bad. He was not as bad as those guys. I always drank the Kool-Aid on Wiki. I still kind of do. I feel like he has to find a situation that works for him. All right, what do we got?
Oh wait, hold on. Are we talking about Wiki?
Yeah,
Wiki. I got him in the bad.
He's bad.
If we look at a points per game basis, Veljko Paunovic comes in at 1.2, Rafa Wiki at a 0.98 with 51 games played.
Yes.
Wiki's worse than Yallop. Wiki's worse than De Los Cobos. Wiki was dumpster fire worthy, guys. I don't know if you guys are thinking.
You know what? I think yeah. He might have looked like a nice guy, but you're right. He was a dumpster fire.
He was a dumpster fire.
Okay.
He might have been worse than De Los Cobos.
He's literally in the same. He's in the same spot. It's just a different category. I'll concede. I was a fan, but go ahead.
Well, if we dig a little bit deeper, he lost more than De Los Cobos, and he also lost more or less than Frank Yallop. He lost less than Frank Yallop, so I think that's where he's at. I think he's above De Los Cobos, below De Los Cobos, but above Frank Yallop. I think that's his.
Man, this is a really bottom heavy tier list here.
I thought he was going to be in bad, but I mean, maybe De Los Cobos was just bad.
We'll
see. We'll see.
No, you don't touch that. Yeah,
I love it. All right, so we have Frank's another Frank stint here. Him doing an interim job.
Just put all the Franks in dumpster fire at this point.
This is
after this one goes in bad.
I mean, it's 5 games.
2 wins, 3 losses, 1 tie.
Correct.
That is a dumpster fire. That is a dumpster fire trademark.
I'd put that Frank behind Veljko.
Okay.
That's where I'd put that Frank.
Let's see. If we take a look at the underlying numbers for Frank following Wiki, he was much better than Wiki. He was much better.
Yeah, but it was a smaller sample size.
Yes.
Yeah, well, and it's also that time of year the Fire always do the false, we're gonna do something. Yeah, the false hope run. All right,
Ezra Hendrickson.
Bad.
Oh, bad behind Frank.
Hold on, better than that Klopas. No, you better flop him.
You think he was better than that Klopas?
Yeah, I think Ezra Hendrickson did not get an actual fair shake here.
No, he was bad.
46 games.
He was bad.
He's better than Wiki. And he had the same amount of time of games as Wiki, and he was better than Wiki. I'll give him that.
I think he's better than that Frank right there. Put him behind Veljko.
You really think he's better than that Frank? If we take a look here.
Also, the more we've gone through this, and before we do the last one, why don't you move our friend Osario up to good enough? No, up to good enough.
Fine.
There you go.
Fine.
I'm happy with that so far.
I like that I could delete Insufficient Data too. So I mean, it was a nice holding pattern there for us.
So the next 2 Franks, you might just put them in dumpster fire.
Yeah, I would put both Franks in dumpster fire. Do they go ahead of Wiki?
Sorry, I'm doing this live.
No, I'd say they go behind.
Okay. So I mean, actually I'd put the first of the 2 Franks in between Wiki and Yallop.
Which is when he followed up Ezra Hendrickson.
Correct.
As you put him where? Between Wiki and
Yep.
Okay.
And then I would put this current iteration of Frank.
That's
Dead
a
ass. I don't care
yeah.
what the stats are. This guy is
It's
behind
trash.
Yallop.
The man has tarnished his whole No. You put him behind Brian Bliss. You don't do that to Brian
don't
Bliss.
do that. No. You had it right. This is the
No,
This
no.
is it.
This is it. I think that this current the Frank before this was actually he was putting up 1.21 points a match.
Yeah, I think I confused those 2 Franks.
So I would put him. It was actually almost okay, fine again.
No.
It was better than Veljko. It was better than Veljko.
No, don't you dare put Frank Klopas other than his first run. Well,
this run was better than Veljko's. 30 games, 11 wins, 1.27 points per game. Meanwhile, Velko is rocking a 1. Okay, you're right. Maybe Velko had 3 years to kind of rock that, so maybe right behind Velko, but above Ezra.
How we feel about this, boys?
This is interesting.
Our first four coaches are our best. Actually, they're almost in order.
I think this is our top 10 coaches.
Yeah, I mean, there was
Bradley,
only 11.
The top 10 coaches for the Fire. Bob Bradley, Dave Sarakin, Denny Hamlet, Juan Carlos Osorio, Frank Klopas, number 5.
Alpha.
Velko, the first version. The first version of Frank.
Yeah.
Velko Paunovic. The third version of Frank.
Theta.
Ezra Hendrickson. The second version of Frank as an interim.
Dos.
De Los Cobos. And so that, yeah, wait, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And De Los Cobos is number 10.
Holy crap. How bad do you have to be outside of the top 10 when there's, I mean, really, there's only been 9 people to coach this team.
Rafa Wiki's out.
Oh, we have a top 10.
Well, let's see who's left out. Let's examine who's left out of the top 10 of Fire coaches. You got Rafa Wiki on the outside looking in. Frank Yallop on the outside looking in. This current iteration of Frank Klopas on the outside looking in. And Brian Bliss. I think this makes sense.
Why this like last year's Klopas, I think you guys have rated too high, but that's fine.
That's what I said too. I said that.
But
I think Frank Klopas, outside of his first stint, is just bad.
Well, like this Klopas is by far the absolute worst. Like, not like, I actually don't care what the numbers say. He has been so obviously out of ideas since week 4.
Yep.
He has been out of ideas since week 4. And like, how can we exist? Dude, we lost 2 games at home this week. You have to fire somebody, even if it's not Klopas. Like, even if it's Sparky, you have to fire someone for
That's
me.
why I said. That's why I said like Joe Mansueto probably doesn't care. You know how we were all complaining about, man, we all wish we had an owner that will spend money. We got our wish, but now we got an owner that just doesn't care.
Man, don't tell me no monkey paw bullshit. Anyway,
I'm just saying, we were all begging for an owner that had money that will infuse this team with cash, but now we got an owner that throws money, likes to burn money. Let's be honest.
Hold on, this guy does not like to rock the boat, does he? He kept Valco for a year after buying the team, didn't he? He does not like change.
He bought the team. He kept Velko for a month after Velko had.
I thought he kept him for the season.
No, he kept Velko. Man, so he actually paid whatever amount of money, whatever amount of years the contract was with Velko, just to keep him for a month.
Unbelievable. All right, well, everybody, let us know what your opinions are. Like, were we completely off base? Would you have someone else in another position? As far as I'm comfortable with this, I am shocked. I'm shocked to see as many Klopases higher than other people. But it happens, man.
I'm shocked to see Velko this high. Velko made the top 10. De Los Cobos. I don't think anybody saw De Los Cobos making the top 10.
No, I honestly, what's so funny is everyone under Osario in my heart felt like a dumpster fire, but then when you stack them up against each other, it's like, wow. Like, wow.
Pick your poison type of situation.
Yeah, the whole goddamn thing in dumpster fire, right?
Yeah, there. That's a more accurate picture of how we feel as Fire fans.
I will
this
say
is accurate. I agree. This is perhaps the most accurate.
I gotta tell you, I am so happy that I was able to finally get Dennis Hamlet some love out here in the universe. I've been singing the praises of those 2 years for a long time. Don't you dare!
Oh
Don't
my
you dare!
God.
That man was great. That is a great man.
You're playing with
Anyway,
fire now, literally.
For Enemies of the Fire, I've been FC Neo Tokyo. That was DPG. That was James. Everybody, we love you. Like, subscribe, comment. We've been having a lot of fun here, and let us know what you think, man. We always love hearing it. You know, we're always up for a good time.
Yeah, let us know if your top 10 list of Chicago Fire coaches aligns with ours, how it differs. We'd love to read your comments. We'll see you guys next time here on Enemies of the Fire. If you guys have other ideas for a top 10 list you'd like to see us do, put them in below. We'd love to read them. Peace.
Peace.